there are women who seem almost untouched by the years, as though they carry within them a light that defies time itself. This is not the glow of youth maintained by external effort, nor the result of favorable genetics. It is something deeper, something that lives in the invisible regions of being. Their radiance is not painted on the skin. It emanates from the soul. Jung would have recognized it immediately. The psyche shaping the body, the state of inner wholeness reflecting itself outward in form and presence. When such a woman enters a room, she does not demand attention, yet the air subtly shifts around her. She doesn't sparkle through artifice or fashion, but through a kind of vibrational presence that draws the eye without asking. Her expression carries the trace of lived experience, and yet her face remains open, fresh, alive. Her eyes seem to contain both the wisdom of the ancients and the curiosity of a child. What we are seeing is not physical preservation, but spiritual coherence made visible. This is the archetype of radiant femininity, the woman whose soul keeps her young. Jung described this phenomenon as individuation, the process of integrating the conscious and the unconscious until they become one harmonious whole. The woman walking this path becomes her own work of art, a living symbol of what Jung called the self, the totality of the psyche seeking realization. To understand this mystery, we must move beyond the surface understanding of aging. We must enter the terrain of the soul, where time does not operate as it does in the physical world. Aging, as most of us know it, belongs to Chronos, the linear time that counts minutes, hours, and years. But the radiant woman lives primarily in Kairos, sacred time, the eternal present where transformation unfolds. While the body moves through the natural stages of life, the soul exists in a different rhythm altogether, one governed by meaning rather than by measure. Women who carry this quality are aligned with that rhythm. They have learned to live from the inside out, to let the eternal dimension of being inform every gesture, every word, every breath. They do not resist time. They collaborate with it. They are not clinging to youth but embodying the timeless. The result is a kind of paradox. They age, yet seem not to age at all. Jung understood that the psyche operates by its own laws, independent of physical causality. He spoke of synchronicity, those meaningful coincidences that reveal an underlying unity between mind and matter. The women who radiate agelessness live within that field of unity. Their inner life and outer world mirror each other. What they cultivate inwardly becomes visible in their form. The peace they nurture in the soul softens the lines of the face. The love they embody brightens the eyes. The clarity they sustain in thought expresses itself as grace in movement. But this radiance is not granted without inner work. It is born from the courage to face what Jung called the shadow, the hidden aspects of the self that we deny or repress. Most people waste vast amounts of energy keeping the shadow at bay, constructing masks to appear whole while internally divided. This suppression creates inner tension, and over time, that tension etches itself into the body, into the muscles of the face, into the posture, into the aura itself. The radiant woman has made peace with her shadow. She has turned toward it, listened to it, and integrated its power. In doing so, she has transformed the raw material of her darkness into light. The ancient alchemists called this the opus contra naturam, the work against nature, an inner process that reverses decay by turning conflict into harmony. This psychological alchemy frees tremendous energy that would otherwise be locked in repression. That liberated energy becomes life force. It regenerates, it heals, it renews. From this integration arises what the mystics called the philosopher's stone, the inner wholeness that transforms everything it touches. When inner divisions dissolve, the body begins to follow suit. The eyes clear, the breath deepens, the gestures soften. The nervous system relaxes into natural coherence. The face no longer strains to maintain an image, because authenticity itself has become beauty. There is an unmistakable difference between the woman who hides her pain and the one who has transmuted it. The first carries invisible weight. Her beauty is fragile, dependent on effort. The second has nothing to prove. She glows from within, the result of having transformed suffering into wisdom. Her lightness is not naivety, it is mastery. The Greeks saw this mystery reflected in their understanding of time. Chronos devours everything. It is the time of clocks and decay, but Kairos is the time of the soul, the eternal now in which true change happens. The radiant woman inhabits Kairos. She may live in a world ruled by Chronos, but she is not defined by it. She moves in sacred time, in a rhythm where renewal is constant. Jung would say she has achieved a relationship with her inner self, strong enough to transcend identification with the body's aging. This does not mean she denies her body. On the contrary, she honors it as the sacred vessel of her soul's evolution. Her beauty is devotional, an offering to life itself. Each line, each contour becomes part of the greater design, like rings on an ancient tree that tell of storms endured and sunlight absorbed. Science is beginning to glimpse what Jung intuited long ago, that consciousness and matter are intertwined. Modern research in epigenetics reveals that emotions, beliefs, and states of mind can influence genetic expression. Chronic stress accelerates aging by shortening telomeres, while inner calm and joy promote cellular repair. The radiant woman lives from a state of coherence where mind and body communicate in harmony. Her biochemistry mirrors her spiritual balance. But to reach such a state, she has had to undergo many inner deaths. Jung called this the art of letting die. It is the willingness to release what no longer serves, the outdated identities, attachments, and fears that cling to youth as if it were the only form of beauty. She knows that true vitality requires continuous surrender. Like the moon shedding its phases, she allows parts of herself to fade so that something new may emerge. This cycle of death and rebirth is not tragic to her. It is sacred. She understands that aging is not decline but initiation. Each phase of life brings its own revelation. To resist it is to resist growth itself. The radiant woman therefore welcomes time as a teacher. Her acceptance becomes grace, and grace itself is rejuvenation. There is also a subtle magnetism about her, a stillness that draws without trying. Jung would have said she lives close to the archetype of the wise woman, not as the withered figure of folklore, but as the embodiment of timeless wisdom. Her presence reminds others of what they, too, could become, beings luminous with consciousness, reconciled with life, reconciled with time. When she speaks, it is as if the words arise, not from intellect alone, but from a deeper source, the anima mundi, the world soul that connects all beings. Through her, that eternal feminine principle breathes into the world again. She becomes a conduit for the sacred, a living symbol of the union between the temporal and the eternal. The mystery of her radiance is not a miracle reserved for a chosen few. It is the natural outcome of living in alignment with the soul. It begins when one turns inward, facing the shadow, reclaiming the light, and learning to live in harmony with both. The more one unites these opposites, the more one enters the rhythm of Kairos, where time ceases to wound. And so the secret of agelessness lies not in defying time but in befriending it, seeing it not as an enemy but as a mirror reflecting the evolution of the soul. The radiant woman has learned this art. Her beauty is not a mask against time. It is a revelation of eternity within time. To witness such a woman is to glimpse what the ancients meant by sacred presence. Her beauty cannot be measured by symmetry or youthfulness. It emanates from the equilibrium between her inner and outer worlds. Jung often emphasized that psychic harmony expresses itself through form. When the unconscious and conscious communicate freely, a subtle order arises, shaping not only thoughts but even the features of the face, the tone of the voice, the rhythm of movement. The radiant woman lives in this order. She does not strive to be beautiful. Beauty flows through her as a natural consequence of inner alignment. Her gestures are unhurried, her words carefully chosen but not contrived. Even in silence, her presence speaks. People feel calmer around her, as though their own nervous systems synchronize with her inner peace. This resonance is not accidental. It is the field effect of an integrated psyche. Jung describes such integration as the union of opposites, the merging of light and shadow, masculine and feminine, spirit and matter. For most people, these forces remain in conflict. One side dominates while the other is suppressed, creating imbalance and tension. Over time, this psychic tension manifests physically, through fatigue, stiffness, premature aging. But when the opposites find balance, the body begins to harmonize. The radiant woman embodies this dynamic equilibrium. Her vitality does not depend on resistance, but on flow. The feminine energy within her is not weak or sentimental. It is the creative principle of life itself. It receives and transforms. When pain comes, she does not deny it, but allows it to pass through her, trusting that meaning will emerge. Jung called this process active imagination, the conscious dialogue with the unconscious, through images, symbols, and feelings. In this way, the radiant woman turns inner chaos into art, grief into depth, wounds into wisdom. There is power in such acceptance. Modern science would say her parasympathetic nervous system remains active, enabling regeneration. Her body, no longer locked in the stress of suppression, repairs itself efficiently. Her cells mirror her consciousness. Where there is harmony of psyche, there is balance of physiology. She does not fight life. Therefore, life supports her. One could say she has become transparent to her own soul. There is nothing artificial about her light. It is not charisma but coherence. She no longer hides behind the persona, the mask. Jung said we all wear to navigate society. Most people mistake the mask for the self and cling to it, fearing that without it they will disappear. The radiant woman has learned that the true self begins only when the mask falls. She wears her persona lightly, as clothing suited to the occasion, but her identity is rooted in something far deeper. The eternal feminine, the anima mundi alive within her. This contact with the world's soul grants her an almost magnetic vitality. She senses the interconnectedness of all beings, the pulse that runs through stone, tree, and human heart alike. Because she recognizes herself in everything, she cannot be easily shaken by life's changes. Her stability is cosmic, not circumstantial. Jung saw this as the hallmark of individuation. The realization that the personal self is an expression of a greater wholeness. The more one identifies with that wholeness, the less one fears aging or death. The radiant woman has entered that understanding, not through theory but through experience. She has lived, lost, and let go enough to know that identity built on form is fragile, but identity rooted in being is eternal. To those still entangled in fear, she appears miraculous, as though time favors her. In truth, she simply lives from a different center, while others are driven by the ego's anxiety, constantly comparing, competing, or clinging. She moves from the self, that inner axis of meaning which Jung described as both individual and universal. In that state, her energy flows without resistance, and vitality follows meaning like a river following its course. Her eyes reveal this serenity. They do not seek approval. They witness. They contain the clarity of one who has looked at herself fully and found peace. Such eyes are rare because few have the courage to see themselves without distortion. Yet that very courage is what frees her beauty from time's corrosion. She has no need to disguise her years. She wears them as symbols of her becoming. This inward poise extends to how she relates to others. Her presence does not provoke envy but remembrance. Those near her feel something awaken, a memory of their own potential. Jung would call this the activation of an archetype, for the radiant woman embodies not only her individuality, but also the collective image of the eternal feminine. Through her, the archetype becomes visible. She is not merely one woman. She is woman as soul, as nature, as wisdom. Her laughter is part of the mystery. It comes from a deep well, not from superficial amusement. It carries healing resonance, releasing tension in those who hear it. The same is true of her silence. It nourishes rather than intimidates. She has learned that true power requires no assertion. Power simply is when one lives in truth. In her daily life, she honors both the sacred and the mundane. She treats ordinary acts, cooking, tending to a garden, speaking with a friend, as rituals of renewal. Jung called this the symbolic life, where everything carries meaning beyond its appearance. Living symbolically protects the psyche from emptiness. It turns repetition into rhythm and labor into devotion. This attitude keeps the inner flame alive when others grow dull. Science now observes how meaning itself affects longevity. People who live with purpose display lower stress markers, better immune function, and slower cellular aging. Jung would not be surprised. He saw that meaning is the nourishment of the soul, and when the soul is nourished, the body thrives. The radiant woman thus lives as an artist of existence. Her canvas is time, her medium is consciousness. She understands that beauty is not decoration but revelation, the visible expression of invisible harmony. She does not imitate youth because she embodies renewal itself. Every experience becomes material for transformation. Suffering, love, loss, all feed the alchemical fire that refines her essence. Even in solitude she glows. This is not loneliness but communion. In stillness, she senses the whisper of the eternal. That quiet knowing that life is always becoming. To her, aging is not an enemy but a conversation, a dialogue between form and formlessness. She listens to it with reverence. Those who look upon her may not know why they are moved. They might describe her as beautiful, graceful, ageless, but these words touch only the surface. What they are responding to is the vibration of coherence, the presence of a soul in harmony with its origin. She reminds them of their own possibility, that to live fully is to shine from within, and that the face is merely the reflection of the light inside. Jung believed that this integration of opposites within the psyche creates a field of meaning powerful enough to affect the physical world. The radiant woman is living proof of that principle. Her being is alchemy in motion. She transforms tension into balance, chaos into order, time into timelessness, and so she walks through the world quietly luminous, revealing without words that the path to agelessness is not escape but union, not resistance but surrender to the rhythm of the soul. There comes a moment in the life of every conscious woman when she begins to sense that true renewal no longer comes from external effort, but from inner depth. This is the turning point, the quiet threshold where the radiant woman is born. It begins not with the pursuit of beauty, but with the awakening of meaning. Jung called this the emergence of the self, the center that calls us to wholeness, often through the very experiences that seem to undo us. For many, this awakening begins in pain. Perhaps it comes after loss, betrayal, or the exhaustion of trying to maintain an image that no longer fits. In that moment of collapse, something ancient stirs. The soul, long neglected, demands attention. It is here that the true work of transformation begins, not the polishing of appearances, but the descent into authenticity. The radiant woman has walked this descent and returned carrying light. She has learned the art of transformation through acceptance. Instead of rejecting pain, she lets it speak. Instead of escaping discomfort, she listens. This is not passivity. It is deep strength. Jung described such courage as the path of individuation, the willingness to confront the unconscious and integrate its messages into conscious life. The radiant woman becomes whole, not by perfection, but by inclusion. Every wound becomes an opening, every loss a passage to wisdom. This approach changes the texture of her being. Her face may still bear the traces of experience, but they no longer read as fatigue or bitterness. They have become symbols, lines of poetry written by the soul. When she smiles, those lines do not age her. They illuminate her story. Her body, too, seems to move differently, not striving, not hurried, but guided by an inner rhythm that feels both graceful and grounded. Modern science speaks of coherence between heart and brain, of nervous systems that synchronize with states of peace. Jung would have recognized in these discoveries the physiological reflection of psychic harmony. The radiant woman lives in this coherence naturally. Her breath and her awareness move together. Her emotions do not pull her in conflicting directions. She feels deeply, but she is not ruled by what she feels. This quality of emotional maturity is what Jung called differentiated feeling, the ability to discern between emotions that foster growth and those that merely repeat old patterns. Such differentiation is rare. Many people are caught in emotional loops, reacting unconsciously to old wounds. Over time, this drains the life force and shows in the body as tension, fatigue, or premature aging. The radiant woman has broken that cycle. She responds instead of reacts. She feels, understands, and releases. This is why her presence feels like calm water. Even when she is passionate, her energy flows without turbulence. She has made friends with the forces within her: anger, desire, fear, tenderness, and allows them to exist without domination. She is not at war with herself, and that peace radiates outward. Jung would say her inner opposites have entered into dialogue. The masculine and feminine, the conscious and unconscious, no longer compete but collaborate. In the mythic sense, she has accomplished what the alchemists called the conjunctio, the sacred union. This inner marriage gives birth to what they named the child of the wise, a new consciousness that carries both wisdom and freshness. Outwardly, this union manifests as vibrancy, clarity, and a kind of youth that no time can erase. To live in this state requires continuous awareness. The radiant woman practices what Jung called the observing self, the ability to witness her own thoughts, emotions, and bodily sensations without becoming enslaved by them. She participates in life fully, yet she remains anchored in the timeless. This observing presence is her shield against the chaos of the world. It allows her to move through change without being consumed by it. Such self-awareness alters her relationship with time itself. While most people feel pursued by the ticking clock, she experiences time as a companion. Her days unfold with a rhythm that feels natural, not rushed. She understands that everything unfolds when the soul is ready, not when the ego demands. Living in this way slows the internal tempo, allowing regeneration to happen effortlessly. In her body, the cells seem to respond to the same serenity that rules her heart. There is also a deep humility in her. She does not claim mastery. She embodies it quietly. She knows that every stage of life carries its own form of beauty. She honors the maiden, the mother, the wise woman, all within herself. These archetypes are not stages to be escaped, but aspects to be integrated. In her they coexist. The curiosity of the maiden, the creativity of the mother, the insight of the crone, all dance together, creating a wholeness that transcends linear age. When she looks into a mirror, she does not judge. She observes. She knows that her reflection changes with the tides of her soul. On days of sorrow, she accepts the shadow that appears. On days of joy, she welcomes the light. Her beauty is not fixed, but fluid. Like the sea, sometimes calm, sometimes stormy, always alive. Jung once wrote that the psyche has a natural drive toward healing. The radiant woman trusts that drive. She does not force growth. She allows it. Her task is to stay conscious, to notice, to feel, to integrate. In this attentive openness, the unconscious continually offers her what she needs to evolve. Dreams bring guidance, intuition offers direction, and coincidences, those mysterious synchronicities, reveal the threads connecting her life to a larger pattern. This trust in the unfolding of life makes her fearless. She is not immune to sorrow, but sorrow no longer threatens her identity. She has learned that pain is not an enemy, it is a teacher. By welcoming its lessons, she prevents it from crystallizing into bitterness. Thus her energy remains clear, her features open, her presence light. Those around her sense something indescribable. In her company, time seems to slow. People breathe more easily, speak more softly, listen more deeply. It is as if her field of consciousness extends outward, reminding others of their own inner peace. Jung believed that when a person individuates, when they embody their self, they influence the collective unconscious. The radiant woman does exactly that. Her transformation becomes a quiet blessing for the world. She moves through the day with a ritualistic awareness. Morning is not simply a time to begin work. It is a moment of invocation. Each gesture, pouring water, lighting a candle, opening a window, carries symbolic weight. She lives as if everything were sacred, because to her it is. This reverence keeps her inner world luminous. There is no separation between spirituality and daily life. Both are expressions of the same divine current. To some, her calmness might appear otherworldly, but she is fully human, grounded, sensual, present. She enjoys beauty not as vanity, but as devotion. A flower, a melody, the feel of sunlight. These things feed her spirit. She does not hoard them. She experiences them as gifts to be received and released. Gratitude becomes her natural state, and gratitude itself is rejuvenating. In her relationships, she offers what Jung called the transcendent function, the ability to hold the tension of opposites without breaking. She can love deeply without losing herself. She can give freely without resentment. She does not demand perfection from others because she has ceased demanding it from herself. Her presence invites authenticity. Pretenses fall away in her company. Her life may look simple, but within that simplicity lies extraordinary richness. Every encounter is meaningful, every silence full. She has cultivated what Jung described as the symbolic attitude, perceiving the invisible dimension behind visible forms. Because she lives this way, her days feel woven with grace, and even ordinary moments shimmer with quiet wonder. Those who study her might attribute her agelessness to genes or luck, but it is neither. It is the embodied result of conscious evolution, the alchemy of the psyche that transforms lead into gold, tension into harmony, time into light. She is not resisting age. She is illuminating it. She reveals what happens when a soul lives in rhythm with its own eternal nature. As the years move through her, something remarkable unfolds. The woman, who once sought to understand life, has now become life itself. Flowing, radiant, unresisting. Jung would say she has realized the unus mundus, the unity of all things. No longer does she experience a division between spirit and matter, inner and outer, self and world. Everything has merged into a single field of meaning. Her body, once perceived as separate from her soul, is now its expression, its living instrument. This is the culmination of the alchemical work, the opus contra naturam, the work against ordinary nature that reveals true nature. It is the paradox at the heart of all transformation. By surrendering to life, she transcends it. The radiant woman has ceased to fight time. She dances with it, and in that dance, time bends. What ages others renews her. What depletes others deepens her. She has achieved what the alchemists called conjunctio oppositorum, the sacred marriage of opposites. The masculine and feminine energies within her have become lovers, not rivals. The instinct to act and the ability to receive are balanced, each honoring the other. Her strength is tender. Her gentleness is powerful. From this union arises a new consciousness that neither denies the world nor is consumed by it. In this state, her beauty has a different texture. It is not brightness that blinds, but warmth that draws. It is not the perfection of youth, but the radiance of meaning. Those who meet her sense something that cannot be named. It is not attraction in the usual sense. It is recognition, the soul remembering itself. People feel safe near her because she carries no judgment, no hidden agenda. Her presence is like a clear mirror that reflects the truth in others without distortion. She knows that her purpose is not to dominate life, but to embody it. This embodiment is prayer in motion, a silent offering. When she walks as the earth moves. When she speaks, her words carry the rhythm of the tides. There is nothing she needs to prove because she has become what she once sought, the bridge between heaven and earth, between eternity and form. Such wholeness brings with it a luminous humility. She understands that she is part of something vast, mysterious, and sacred. She feels the pulse of the cosmos in her own heartbeat. This awareness fills her with reverence for all beings. Every person she meets is recognized as a fellow traveler on the path of becoming. Every creature, every plant, every breath of wind belongs to her family. This perception of unity restores her continually. It is the fountain of youth hidden in plain sight, the renewal that comes from connection. Even her aging becomes a teaching. Where others hide their years, she reveals them as testimony. She wears her life openly. The laughter that carved lines around her eyes, the tears that softened her gaze, the patience that shaped her posture. Nothing is wasted, nothing denied. Her face has become what Jung might have called a living mandala, a symbol of integration, each feature representing a piece of the inner cosmos brought into harmony. She does not cling to the past nor fear the future. Her awareness rests in the present moment, in the eternal now where all possibilities converge. From this center she lives with quiet confidence. She trusts that what she needs will come, and what leaves will do so at the right time. Her relationship with time is now intimate, like that of an old friend. They understand each other. Time no longer takes from her. It collaborates with her growth. In the language of modern science, one might say that her biology mirrors her consciousness. Her body operates in coherence, her stress response balanced, her regenerative mechanisms active. Yet these are only reflections of something deeper, a psyche at peace. She has discovered that the ultimate cosmetic is consciousness, that joy itself is the finest elixir. When difficulties arise, as they do, for everyone, she meets them as opportunities for further refinement. Jung spoke of the psyche's tendency toward wholeness, its self-healing nature. The radiant woman trusts this tendency completely. She no longer fears shadow because she knows light is born from it. Every challenge becomes a passage to greater clarity. Every heartbreak becomes a portal to compassion. And in this endless cycle of transformation, she stays young, not in appearance alone, but in spirit, in curiosity and wonder. Her curiosity about life remains childlike but not naive. It is the curiosity of one who knows that every experience contains a secret teaching. She looks at the world with eyes that have seen much, and yet still marvel. This quality makes her both wise and fresh, a combination rare and magnetic. She carries within her the memory of ages and the openness of beginnings. Those who encounter her often feel as though time slows. Conversations with her linger in memory. Her words, even simple ones, seem to echo with hidden depth. Jung would have said that she speaks from the self, the archetypal center where personal experience and universal truth converge. Through her, the collective wisdom of humanity finds a voice. She becomes, in that sense, a vessel of the divine feminine, the eternal aspect of the soul that nourishes, heals, and renews. And yet she would never claim this for herself. Humility is her adornment. She knows that what shines through her is not hers to possess. It flows through her because she has made herself transparent to it. The ego, once the master, has become the servant of the self. She is guided now by something larger, something sacred that moves quietly beneath all things. Her life has become a symbolic ritual. Every act, whether preparing a meal, comforting a friend, or sitting in silence, carries intention and presence. She no longer seeks to escape the ordinary. She sanctifies it. Jung wrote that the modern human suffers from the loss of the symbolic life, from the absence of meaning. The radiant woman heals this loss simply by living meaningfully. Through her, the world remembers the sacredness of being. Perhaps the most profound aspect of her radiance is her relationship with death. She no longer fears it, for she has died many times within herself. Each time she let go of an identity, an attachment, a false belief. Death to her is not an ending but a transformation, another turn of the great wheel. She knows that what she truly is cannot age or perish. The body will change, but the essence behind it is eternal. This knowing gives her an unshakable peace, and that peace is visible in every gesture. When she smiles, it is the smile of one who has seen through the illusion of separation. When she speaks, her words carry the quiet power of truth. When she loves with the freedom of one who has nothing to lose and everything to give. Such love is not sentimental but luminous. It lifts others, reminding them of their own wholeness. The radiant woman is not a mythic rarity. She is the potential within every soul. Each of us carries the seed of this timeless light. To awaken it requires only the willingness to turn inward, to face the shadow, to integrate the opposites, and to live consciously. The path is demanding but not impossible. It is, as Jung taught, the natural unfolding of the psyche toward its own center. When the soul begins this work, the outer world slowly transforms. The face becomes more alive, the body lighter, the presence deeper. Life no longer feels like a race against time, but a dance within it. Every moment becomes a chance to align more closely with the eternal. In the end, the secret of the radiant woman is no secret at all. It is the revelation that the light we seek has always been within us. Time cannot diminish it. Only forgetfulness can. To remember it is to return to our original state, whole, luminous, ageless. And so she walks through the world quietly shining. Her beauty is not of the past, nor of the future. It is the eternal now made visible. She reminds us simply by being that the state of the soul shapes the expression of the body, and that when the soul lives in harmony with the self, the body becomes a vessel of light. This is the mystery Jung intuited, the alchemy that turns consciousness into radiance. The woman who has found her inner wholeness becomes a living testament to the timeless truth. The peace of the soul preserves the youth of the body. Her radiance is our mirror, her wisdom our invitation to live, to integrate, to shine. If these words have stirred something within you, if you've glimpsed the possibility of your own timeless radiance, then let this moment be more than reflection. Become part of the journey, subscribe to the channel, and join a growing circle of souls dedicated to living consciously, aging gracefully, and awakening the inner light that Jung called the self. Each week, we'll explore the deeper connection between psyche and body, the hidden power of symbols, and the living wisdom of the soul. Together, we'll rediscover what it means to embody wholeness, to let consciousness shape not only our inner world, but the beauty we bring into the outer one. So if you feel the quiet call of transformation, click subscribe, activate the bell, and step with us into the rhythm of Kairos, the sacred time where renewal never ends. Your presence, your insight, your story are part of this shared unfolding. Let us walk this path together, radiant, aware, and timeless.